Okay, hello, Zoe Richards here, and welcome to the Mental Love session for today. Right, so what we're going to cover? Well, we've reached week 7, and so because we're at week 7, we're now at the point where we're thinking about what's going to happen in the future. And as you know, I've just had a week away. Now, in my week away, something quite interesting happened. I've got this habit when we go on holiday where I ask my husband, so what do you think about this and what would you do with that? And I ask him questions that can really get us thinking and having some interesting conversations. His questions back to me, incidentally, are usually the same question. And I go, no, you're not allowed that. You've got to ask me a new question. So it really challenges him just in that respect, having to ask me a new question. But anyway, something interesting happened on this holiday. My husband is coming up to 55, so he's got 5 years left until he retires. And he started talking in that kind of way of, when I retire, I will. I'm going to retire, and I can't wait to retire, and how about if I retired early? And he gets really quite excited about it. Well, I asked him a question, and I said, so what will you do when you retire? And he was silent. He didn't know how to answer the question and took his glasses off. He's got a habit of doing this as he thinks about things, taking his glasses off and pretending that he is a great thinker about stuff. And his answer was, I actually don't know. So we had our meal, and as the meal went on, he comes out with, this is a bit of a crisis. I really don't know what I want to do when I retire. Maybe I shouldn't retire. And it's like, well, do you know, I wasn't asking you the question so that you wouldn't retire. I was asking you the question because I actually genuinely want you to think about what will you do when you retire. And his answer was, I really honestly don't know. I haven't gone through that process of thinking about what I want to do. Now, in a way, this isn't really completely new because about 20 years ago, I remember asking him, what are your goals? And his answer to that was, what do you mean, what are my goals? You don't ask yourself this question ordinarily, do you? And my answer was, yeah, actually, I do ask myself the question, what are my goals? And we discovered that we both think very, very differently. On the one hand, I think in a goal kind of perspective, and on the other hand, he thinks in a now kind of perspective. Literally, now, this moment. What am I doing now? So we actually do have two completely different ways of thinking. And when I try and bring these two ways of thinking together, he actually struggles. He doesn't know what he wants to do. So we're starting small. And in thinking ahead what you're doing with Lemonade Life, I want you to think small. I want you to start small. You've probably heard me say quite a few times now, small things that make a big difference. Small things that make a big difference. And that is really what Lemonade Life is all about. Small things that make a big difference. In our holiday, I actually spent the whole of the week doing exactly that. Small things that make a big difference. I thought of goals on almost a daily basis. I even invited some friends to help me manifest some stuff during the week. Now, we were in Europe, not the UK part of Europe, the mainland Europe. And one of the challenges I was given was to find a yellow teapot. So there was a goal for me. I've got to find a yellow teapot. Now, why is that difficult in Europe? Well, it's difficult because they don't tend to use teapots in Europe. Hard to imagine, isn't it? But that's true. They don't use teapots in Europe. So you get a cup of water and you get a tea bag and you make your own cup of tea in your teacup. So I was given the challenge of find a teapot, a yellow teapot. And you know, it took me a few days, but I found one. I found a yellow teapot in an antique shop where they had a beautiful, well, it looked to me like a British bone china tea set with a yellow teapot. I found it. So that was one of my goals for the week. And that's really the way that I want you to be looking at how you will approach Lemonade Life moving forward. I want you to start thinking about small things that make a big difference. Small things that make a big difference. That could be literally anything that you're doing in your life at all. Now, what if you're like Rob? What if you don't actually have goals? Well, here we go. That's what we're going to be looking at today. I want you to be thinking, not in terms of goals, but in terms of feelings. Remember, we covered this right at the beginning with Lemonade Life. I want you to go back to that and review what feelings did you want to have in your life, what it represents, your lemonade life. Now, let me tell you a little story. Many years ago, I was lucky enough to hear one of the Great British Olympic rowing team speak at an event. He was in the original team. I actually can't remember his name now, but he was one of the original team. By the way, it wasn't Matthew Pinsent and it wasn't Stephen Redgrave, so it must have been one of the other two. I just can't remember his name. And he talked to us about how they became gold medal winners. So they'd never won a gold medal at this stage, but they decided that that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to win a gold medal. And what they would do every time that they did something, they would ask themselves, will this make the boat go faster? Will this make the boat go faster? And what I want you to ask yourself is, will this make my lemonade life? Will this make my lemonade life? So anything that you're doing in the moment, right now, if you're about to do something, if you've got a plate next to you and you've got a big piece of cake, ask yourself, will this make my lemonade life? If it won't, don't do it. If it will, that's okay. So if cake's on your list of, I want to feel full from something really yummy, if that's on your lemonade life, go ahead and eat the cake. But if your lemonade life is about losing weight, perhaps, if your lemonade life is about maintaining your current weight, perhaps, then maybe eating that piece of cake is not part of your lemonade life. I'm going out for a run after this, and that is part of my lemonade life. Staying fit, feeling the adrenaline from doing exercise. And so I am actually going out for a run. So when I say to myself, is this part of my lemonade life? The answer is yes, it is. But in that fridge over there, because I'm in the kitchen today, in that fridge over there, there's a piece of chocolate. And I've looked at it twice today, and I've had to ask myself, is that part of my lemonade life? And the answer is no, it's not. So you know what? It's not getting eaten. But if it's part of my lemonade life, then I would do it. So instead of having to look at these big, grand goals and then getting overwhelmed by, do I want to do that? I don't know if I want to do that. Actually, I don't know what I want to do. Instead of having that be the thing that takes over your thinking, I just want you to work in the moment. So you need to go back to your list of feelings, and you may also have some goals that you've identified through doing Lemonade Life. Go back to those as well. But the main thing to be doing as you move forward now with Lemonade Life is to ask yourself that question. Will this make my lemonade life? Will this give me my lemonade life? And if the answer is no, it's an easy response, isn't it? I don't do it. So that's what I want you to do as you're starting to move forward, finishing off, working on your lemonade life, working on creating what your lemonade life is. Now, hopefully, as you've been going through the last 7 weeks, you've identified a lot of things that you want to change in your life, and you've identified some things that you want to create in your future life. And so today is the day where you really start saying to yourself, is that part of my lemonade life? Will that make me my lemonade life? Are you ready for that? You up for the challenge? Because that's really the main bit, the main message I want you to get now, is that you are creating your lemonade life. You are in charge, nobody else. It's time to choose you. And it's time to choose your lemonade life. And the only way you're going to do that is by asking yourself that question continually. Is this part of my lemonade life? Will this give me my lemonade life? Is this going to make my lemonade life? If the answer is no, don't do it. If the answer is yes, do it. If the answer is I don't know, because that's an interesting one, isn't it? I don't know, will this make my lemonade life? I would hazard a guess that the answer is really no, and you're just making up excuses, or you're finding a way in which you can manipulate to have what you want in this moment now. So if you're not going out to exercise, maybe it's because you found a different excuse. If you're choosing to watch TV when you said you were going to watch less TV, maybe it's just an excuse. If you're eating that piece of cake when you don't really need to, because let's face it, cake's not really something that gives us the calories. Oh yeah, actually it gives us the calories, it doesn't give us the good calories. So it may not be part of your lemonade life. If you're wanting to set up your own business, or you're in business and you're wanting to grow your business, you're wanting more success with your business, maybe some of the actions you're taking are not actually going to feed your lemonade life. And you know, one of the things I used to do a lot, I used to work long hours for my employer. So I was contracted, I can't remember now, I think it was 36 hours. So I was contracted to work 36 hours. And what did I do? I used to work 75 hours. Can you believe that? I worked 75-hour weeks for my employer when I was contracted to work 36. And you know, one day my husband said to me, do you realise that if you took our hourly pay, I get paid more than you? Now, the interesting thing about this was I was actually paid £20,000 or thereabouts more per year than he was. And yet he earned more per hour because he worked his contracted hours and I didn't. I worked a lot more than my contracted hours. So if you're doing that, if you're a workaholic and you want to set up your own business and you're finding that what you're actually doing is working longer hours for your employer, not giving yourself the time to do what you want to do with your business, you're not making your lemonade life. You're actually making somebody else's lemonade life. Time to stop that one, don't you think? And what about if you are actually running your own business and it's not quite going the way you want it to go? Well, my question to you is, are you doing the same thing day in, day out? Because if you are and your business isn't a success, chances are it's because you're not doing the right things. So it could be time for you to be reviewing what you're working on and whether you need to be working on something else. So whatever it is you're doing, you're going to be asking yourself that question. Will this make my lemonade life? Will this give me my lemonade life? Are you up for that? Great. So I want you to start working on that through the next week or so. And in fact, I want you to make that one a habit. So every time you're doing something, ask yourself, will this make my lemonade life? There you go. That's today's mental love session. Will this make my lemonade life? I'd love to hear from you in the Facebook group, what you're thinking about at the moment, what you're working on, and whether you discover that you're actually doing something that doesn't make your lemonade life, or maybe the other way around. Tell me about things that you're doing that are making your lemonade life. I'd love to hear about it. And remember, #lemonade life. Look forward to reading your thoughts. Bye for now.